Alright guys, Arch-Tempered Rey Dau is just around the corner, and finally the event quest page has been updated with the actual times. You can see them right here, pretty much starting on the 30th at 12 a.m. UTC, or whatever time conversion that is going to be for you. But we also have some other news, and you have about a week still left to complete some of the best event challenges still left, especially if you're missing armor spheres. But we're gonna check some other stuff as well, so let's jump right in. But of course, Capcom came in and announced this a couple of days ago. Welcome to the week of Arch-Tempered Rey Dau's thunderous arrival. Are you prepared for this electrifying challenge arriving on April 29th or 30th if we're talking about that British Standard Time? But this is a bit confusing. I suggest checking out the Capcom event quests page, which just got updated a few minutes ago, and that's going to give you the precise time zone conversion of when the event is going to start for you, called a silent flash, which for me will begin on the 30th at pretty much 3 a.m. in the morning. Right now it's the 29th at 6 p.m. almost at the time of recording this video, so we got roughly 9 hours up until that happens. Quite a bit to go actually, but I'm gonna leave some links down below where you can go ahead and check it out. And this is going to be the version that lasts up until the 13th of May. However, it's not the only one that we get, fortunately, so we're gonna have about more than 2 weeks to actually go ahead and have fun with the challenge and obviously get all the rewards we want for that really cool Rey Dau Gamma set. And that is because this is going to continue with an event free challenge quest over there in the arena called the Shining Storm Rages, starting from the 7th of May, and this will last up until the 20th from the same hours. So that means we're pretty much going to get almost like 3 weeks of uninterrupted ways of taking down Arch-Tempered Rey Dau. We already checked its armor set previously, and it may actually be pretty strong for everybody who's not completely meta and playing perfectly. It does come with some benefits, specifically that the helmet Gamma has both weakness exploit and maximum might on it, plus a bit of stamina surge, which is very useful for many builds out there. You can also have latent power over here. I think that may be a very good set to finally bring latent power a little bit more into the front run of the meta right here, because not everybody is going to play perfectly. The only problem is that to activate latent power, you need to wait either 2 minutes or get the equivalent of 130 points of damage dealt onto your character. And no, defense is not taken into account, or if you power armor through anything, you have to have 130 points of damage subtracted from your HP for that to apply, which obviously means you're going to go through quite a bit of pain. But for 90% of the player base who doesn't play optimally, this means that uptime on it may be actually quite good, especially if we take into account that Thunderous Assault 2 will give you plus 90 extra seconds to the latent power duration, so that's going to bump it from around 2 minutes duration to 3 minutes and a half. And that means for 3 minutes and a half you gain plus 50% affinity and reduce stamina depletion by 50% if we're talking about level 5, which is easily achievable with a at least 4 out of 4 set piece of this. This is not going to beat the 4-piece Gormagala. That's still going to likely be meta for many builds out there, but it may provide some nice sort of off meta that we can use if we don't really play optimally or just want to try something else out. But with the new armor, you're likely going to need some extra armor spheres to also boost that to max. And there are luckily still some events that you can do up until around May 6th. One of which that's very popular being the Gravius Blockade. This actually happens in the Wounded Hollows, so it's not like the boss is going to run anywhere, but as you can see, it has a chance to give you some of these armor spheres, on top of the fact that you can also use the Sakura Tide armor to also get some of those event tickets and some of the other participation trophies. Plus, you also get extra food ingredients that are actually really good from this. However, this is going to go away completely on May 6th, so I suggest you go ahead and do it while you still can. Meanwhile, if you want to farm as quick as possible, here is the build that I've been using. By the way, I'm going to post some links down below to the user who actually made this build, but obviously this uses the Sakura Tide armor, which means you're going to get some extra damage and defenses during the event from the 4-set bonus. Plus, on top of that, we also get the Carver bonus, aka Carver Meal, which is going to give you a 4th carve from the monster if you need that. On top of the fact that we're going to use this with a water heavy bowgun, which deals tons of damage and absolutely destroys Gravius over here. You don't even need to use buffs that much, maybe a demon drug here and there, and maybe some mighty pills, but that is basically it. As you can see, literally within a minute, we're absolutely blasting through this boss. You can also bring in some flash pods if you want to keep it stunned for longer, but like I said, the build is more than enough to absolutely destroy it. By the way, if you want to multiply your rewards even more, yes, the daily login vouchers will also increase the possibility for you to get extra armor spheres as rewards. Plus, both the Kunafa and the Suja cuisines will give you buffs that directly affect the drop rates. In the case of the Lucky Meal, you're going to get more drops from the boss. In the case of the Exploiter Meal, you're just going to get more rewards from popping those wounds, which can be beneficial since this is going to be a tempered monster. Now, alternatively, which worked a little bit better for me, was the one against, in this case, Chotacabra. You also have the event called Tongue Tied that actually has a chance to give you 2 types of armor spheres, so not just the hard ones, but also advanced. And it seems, at least in my case, that they drop a bit more often from this encounter, which also happens to be a little bit quicker if you know what you're doing. And in this case, you can probably level up a little bit quicker if you want to purely focus on the armor and nothing else. But like I said, the other one also gives you the food ingredients. Now, there's also the question of the missing sealed dragon cloth alpha that we covered before, that really cool anime scarf that we've seen in the title update presentation video. And even though this item is in the game's files and we were able to actually check it via mods, it doesn't seem to be part of any of the event quests during the Sakura Tide update. So I think that it's very possible that this is going to be given via some kind of DLC or maybe some kind of other reward, unless Capcom is going to update the list of current events with something else. For now, it goes up until the 13th of May, so my expectation is that maybe after the 13th, we are going to get some kind of weekly event over there, one of which may provide us that sealed dragon cloth over there, because I'm not seeing it in any of these other events that are happening. And keep in mind that all of these events will eventually expire by the 6th of May, so we only have like a bit over a week to actually complete all of these, which is why I recommend taking advantage of what's already there, get anything that's missing, and especially go ahead and farm all of those like event challenges you haven't, or any of those armor spheres that we just talked about. And while we're on the subject, also pay attention to your claim content section, as the Shaggama event rewards were pretty much given. So everybody who got an A rank over there, it doesn't matter with which weapon, they pretty much got all the pendants, including the Mark of the Mastery and the 2 others, and that's going to be the way forward. You can now go ahead, apply them right here in your customization options. And they don't look that bad, especially the Mark of Mastery is really interesting, but I'm gonna be honest, even if the cheaters were the only ones to get this, I would have not cared too much. It doesn't really change much for me, but it looks still pretty nice. There are going to be some other versions for Rey Dau's event as well that we're going to see, so Capcom has issued similar warnings for that too. Plus, similarly to the current event, everybody who gets at least an A rank will get every single one of them. The first 2 are gotten via just pure participation. But good to note is that the Arch-Tempered encounter against Rey Dau isn't going to last just until the 6th of May like all other current events. It's actually going to extend up until the 13th. So we're going to have it up until the middle of May, plus around the middle of May is when we're also going to get that new free challenge arena event also against an Arch-Tempered Rey Dau, the Shining Storm Rages. So theoretically, we have like 3 weeks and a little bit to farm this on repeat and get the new armor set, which, like I said before, it's absolutely worth it. It's likely going to be one of the best new options in the game, alongside that numinous armor from Zoshia and some combination with the Gore beta set. So in this case, go ahead, you're going to have more than enough time, and we're going to cover this as we get closer to some of the other events. Currently, it only goes up until the 20th, so my expectation is that that end of May update will likely be in the last week. So from May 26th, give or take, is my expectation. Pretty much going to be a Monday. It's the last week of May, so they did mention that the update will drop then, alongside all of the other balance changes, and supposedly also that a really interesting event that we don't really know about what it's going to be, what kind of collab we're going to have. Though currently Final Fantasy as well as Devil May Cry seem to be like the biggest bets from the fan base. However, we may have a surprise. I'm not really sure. Let me know down below in the comments what's your expectation, and I will see you in the next video.